You hugged someone recently, maybe this morning. Maybe you didn't even think about it. Arms up, a squeeze, a couple of seconds, done. Now take all of that, minus the clothes, minus the house, minus the words you said, minus the name you called them, minus everything you think of as being a person, and there it still is, two bodies pressed together, holding on. So here's the question, when did that start? When did a living thing first wrap its arms around another one? Not to fight it, not to eat it, but to hold it. When did we start hugging? Seriously, sit with that for a second. Because it sounds like a silly question, right up until you try to answer it. And then it turns into one of the strangest questions you can ask about being human. This is older than farming, older than writing, older than cities, older than language, older than money. It is very likely older than our species, older than us, plain and simple. And the answer isn't in a book, because the thing itself never fossilized. You can't dig up a hug, but we found the fingerprints of it. In living apes, in the wiring under your skin, in a grave in Italy. And the last piece might change how you feel about the person you held this morning. There are really two questions tangled together here. The first one is simple. When did the physical act, the wrapping of arms, first happen? But the second one is the interesting one. When did it start to mean something? When did a hug stop being just bodies and start being comfort? Hold on to that second one. It's the whole story. To get there, you have to picture the world before any of it, and I don't mean a world without hugs. I mean a world where the very idea would have gotten you killed. Because before you can hug something, you need one thing. Trust. A hug is the single most defenseless thing a body can do. Think about the actual mechanics of it. You bring your face close to another creature's teeth. You wrap up your own arms, your only weapons, your only defense, and you tie them up around something bigger than you. Your soft parts, your throat, your stomach, all of it, open and exposed. For a wild animal, that's not affection. That's suicide. So picture the deep past, not people yet. Small, wary creatures in a world with no safety in it. Every rustle is a threat. Every stranger is a predator or a rival. Getting close to another body means one of two things, mating or violence. There's no third option. To let something wrap its arms around you, you'd have to somehow know in your bones that it wasn't going to hurt you. And then, somewhere, something changed. Something learned to switch that fear off. To find the first fingerprint, you don't dig. You watch, and you watch the animal sitting right next to us on the family tree. Most people picture a chimpanzee and they think of one thing, aggression, screaming, chest beating, teeth. And they're not entirely wrong. Chimps can be brutal. But that's the movie version, and the movie got the interesting part backwards. Because in July of 2026, a team led by Jake Brooker and Xana Clay out of Durham University published something remarkable in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B. They'd spent hours filming chimpanzees and bonobos at sanctuaries in Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they weren't filming the fights. They were filming the hugs. Now here's what everybody already knew. Apes hug after a fight. Two chimps brawl, and minutes later they'll embrace to patch things up. That reconciliation is old news. It's been documented in more than 20 different primate species. Kiss and make up, literally. But Clay's team noticed something nobody had pinned down before. The apes were also hugging before anything bad happened. No fight. No trigger. Just a tense moment coming and a bunch of embracing, patting, hand-holding right before it. Why? Because they weren't fixing a problem. They were preventing one. Here's the setup. The researchers would release food into a shared, cramped space, the kind of situation that in the wild means a squabble, everyone crowding a fruit tree, high tension. And in the minutes right before the food dropped, the apes who touched each other, who hugged, patted, held hands, were the ones who then ate peacefully, side by side, when the food actually hit. Read that again. A hug beforehand predicted peace afterward. The embrace was doing the work, and there was this one detail I can't stop thinking about. In their most relaxed chimp group, the researchers watched one male embrace another from behind. Then a second chimp joined on. Then a third. One by one, a whole line of them hugging front to back until the tension just settled. The team started calling it the reassurance train, a conga line of anxious apes calming each other down before dinner. If that sounds familiar, it should. It's a sports team huddling up before kickoff. It's your family group hugging before something hard. As Clay put it, it turns a bunch of me into a single we. That's not a human invention. That's an ape thing, and we inherited it. But here's where it gets stranger. Because if both chimps and bonobos do this, and we do this, that points at something uncomfortable. It points back to a shared grandparent. We didn't come from chimps. Let's kill that myth right now. Chimps are our cousins, not our ancestors. But we share a common ancestor that lived somewhere around 6 to 8 million years ago. 3 living branches, us, chimps, bonobos, and all 3, when they're scared or stressed, reach out and hold another body. Now think like a detective for a second. When 3 separate species all inherit the same behavior, the simplest explanation isn't that each one invented it on its own. It's that they all got it from the same place, the same ancient grandparent, which means the hug might be 6 million years old. Not the human hug, the impulse to grab another creature and hold on when the world feels dangerous. That may predate every human who ever lived by millions of years. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't that a huge leap? Behavior doesn't fossilize. You can't dig up a 6 million year old embrace and carbon date it. And that's true, but this is where absence works differently than you'd expect. Soft things rot. Behavior leaves no bones. So we were never going to find the first hug in the ground. The absence of the fossil isn't proof it didn't happen. It's just proof that hugs, by their nature, don't leave fossils. What they leave instead is a trail of living relatives all doing the same thing. And that trail runs deep. But behavior alone doesn't fully explain it. Because you could train an animal to do almost anything, what you can't fake is what happens inside the body when 2 of them touch. And that's the next fingerprint. And it's hiding under your own skin right now. Here's something they didn't teach you about touch. You don't have one system for it. You have 2. One is the obvious one, the nerves in your fingertips that let you feel textures, read braille, tell a coin from a key in your pocket. Fast, precise, informational. That's the touch you think you know. But buried in your skin, and only in the hairy skin, not your palms, there's a second, secret system. A class of nerve fibers scientists call C-tactile afferents. And these don't care about texture or detail at all. They're almost useless for information. They do exactly one thing. They respond to a slow, gentle, warm stroke. A caress. And here's the part that gives me chills every time. These fibers fire hardest, most strongly, at one specific speed of stroking. And that exact speed, the one your nerves are most tuned to, is the same speed that people, across every culture on Earth, independently rate as the most pleasant way to be touched. Your skin has a favorite speed, and it's the speed of a mother stroking a child's back, the speed of a hug where someone rubs your shoulder. Think about what that means. Deep in your skin, you have a dedicated wiring system whose entire job, its only job, is to detect affection, not danger, not texture. Affection. You are, physically, built to feel a hug. And it doesn't stop at the skin. When those fibers fire, they set off a chain reaction up into your brain that releases a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding chemical. It's what floods a mother and newborn, what ties people together. And at the same time, it turns down cortisol, your main stress hormone. So a hug isn't a metaphor for feeling safe. It is a physical, chemical event. Gentle pressure goes in, stress hormone goes down, bonding hormone goes up. Measurable. Real. You're telling me the human body evolved a private nerve network just for being held? Yes. Yes, it did. And you don't build a dedicated system for something that doesn't matter. Evolution is ruthless and cheap. It doesn't waste resources on a whim. A whole class of nerve fibers survives across millions of years only if the thing it detects kept our ancestors alive, which flips the whole story. The hug wasn't a nice bonus on top of survival. The hug was survival. The lonely, untouched individual was stressed, sick, and cut off. The one who was held and who held others was calmer, bonded, protected by a group. Isolated animals died. Connected ones lived. Your skin is the receipt. So the impulse is ancient and the wiring is built in. But there's still that second question hanging in the air. When did it stop being just biology, just stress relief between apes, and start being the thing we mean by a hug? Love, grief. Goodbye. For that, we finally get to dig. Let's be honest about something first. This is where the evidence gets thin and the certainty drops, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise, because meaning is even harder to excavate than behavior. But every so often, the ground hands you something that stops you cold. In 2007, in a field near Mantua in northern Italy, an archaeologist named Elena Maria Minotti was leading a dig when her team uncovered two skeletons. Not thrown in a pit. Not laid out side by side. These two were face to face. Arms around each other. Legs intertwined. Two people buried holding one another, and they'd been holding on for 6,000 years. The press called them the lovers of Valdaro. A young man and a young woman, neither older than about 20 when they died. Anne Minotti, who dug all over Italy, said she'd never found anything like it. Plenty of women embracing children, she said, but never a couple locked together like that. Now here's where I have to be straight with you, because the honest version is better than the fairy tale. We don't actually know their story. We don't know if they loved each other. Careful researchers point out that the bodies were almost certainly arranged into that pose after death. Someone posed them, which, if anything, makes it stranger, not less. Because it means someone 6,000 years ago stood over two dead young people and decided the right way to send them into the ground, into forever, was wrapped in an embrace. That's the answer to the second question. Not the hug itself, the idea of the hug. The moment a human being understood that holding someone close was so bound up with love and comfort and belonging that it was the pose you'd want to carry into death itself. That's when a hug became a hug. Whoever arranged those two bodies already knew exactly what an embrace meant, which means it was old news even then. There's one last layer, and I saved it for the end, because it's the strangest part of all of this. Everything I've told you, the 6 million-year-old impulse, the nerve fibers built for a caress, the oxytocin, the dropping stress hormone, the ancient understanding that an embrace means love. None of that is in a museum. None of it is in the past. It's in you, right now. The wiring that a scared little creature used to switch off its fear millions of years ago. You're carrying the same wiring. Those C-tactile fibers under the hair on your arms are firing to this day. That oxytocin still floods you. When you hugged someone this morning and felt your shoulders drop, that wasn't a habit you picked up. That was a 6 million-year-old machine doing exactly what it was built to do. You didn't learn to feel safe in someone's arms. You inherited it. So, when did ancient humans start hugging? The truthful answer is that they never started. They inherited it the same way you did. Follow the trail back, and it never breaks. 6,000 years ago, someone laid two young people in the earth wrapped in each other's arms. Long before that, humans were reconciling and comforting with touch. Long before that, our shared ancestor with the chimps and bonobos was already doing it, 6 to 8 million years back. And under all of it, the whole time, sat that quiet nerve system, waiting for a caress. They didn't invent the hug. They received it, they passed it on. And they built no monument to it because they didn't need to. They were carrying the monument around inside their own skin. Same as you, a 20-year-old in a field 6,000 years ago, and you, this morning, did the exact same thing with your arms. You have almost nothing else in common. Different world, different language, different everything. But you both know that one gesture. You both know what it's for. We spend millions of years learning to hold on. And every time you do it, without a single thought, some ancient part of you remembers. You're remembering.